Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast. I am your host.
I'm not.
Back in the basement with my co-host and teenage son, Jackson, to talk about some more wrestling. Say hello, Jack.
What's up?
So last night we checked out WWE's...
Regular rules.
Right? Extreme Rules question mark, I was going to say. Because there was not a lot of Extreme Rules about it. But we did watch it.
Literally one.
It wasn't very long, so we got through it in one sitting, which was pretty nice, actually.
It also wasn't very short.
No, but so we're going to talk about that, and then right after this, I think I will be recording my ROH 523. I just finished watching that, so I'll stick around and talk about that after this.
You know?
Yep, so 2 podcasts for me tonight. So welcome if you're a new listener. Welcome back if you're returning. If you would like to contact us, it's fnswrestling@gmail.com, FNS_wrestling_podcast on Instagram, or you can leave a comment on YouTube if that's where you happen to be listening. So, I don't know, what were your excitement levels coming into this show that we watched?
0.5.
0.5 out of 10. Match that you were most looking forward to?
The only Extreme Rules match, I guess.
The only Extreme Rules match?
Yeah, because it's Extreme Rules on an Extreme Rules show, so I guess that's the only one that should be here, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, not all the matches are Extreme Rules, but there's usually a tables match or
something. It was the least Extreme Rules I can ever
match.
Think of that I remember.
Lame Extreme Rules of all time.
Yeah, so we are not main roster watchers, but we do check out the pay-per-views. We do the odd time check in with Raw or Smackdown, give it a half hour, and then give up.
We actually haven't done that in a while.
We haven't done that in a while, but we have done it in the past.
Can you blame me?
So we're up on the main roster stuff, despite not regularly watching it.
Yeah.
We at least read or watch clips or listen to podcasts
that's
about
social media for, am I right?
That's right. So I say we get right into this. What do you think?
Sure.
And we start talking about WWE Extreme Rules.
Not the horror show this time.
You did not catch the pre-show this time again, right? You seem to be the guy that misses the pre-show quite a bit.
In my defense, it sucks.
So you didn't see it. How do you know it sucks?
Because I know what main roster wrestling is like, and I know what the panels are like.
So in case you're new to the podcast, he is the super negative one and I will try to be somewhat positive or at least fair about this, but this guy is not a big main roster fan. Neither am I, but I will try to keep it, I don't know.
And also, it was Liv Morgan versus Carmela, so how good is it going to be?
Well, I don't know. I was a little bit surprised by it. But anyways, the pre-show match was Liv Morgan and Carmela. This got moved from the main show, I think, so that left me wondering, were they going to replace it with something? Were they just going to go to 5 matches? Because they only had 6 matches on this show, which feels very light for a main roster pay-per-view.
Yeah, but
pretty normal for a takeover, but not.
They've been doing pretty good with that, other than because the last pay-per-view we watched was SummerSlam, which that's they're one of their super card shows.
Yes, pandemic pay-per-views have been quicker for sure.
Yeah, they've been doing really good. I remember Backlash, WrestleMania Backlash. Whoa, sorry, didn't mean to offend. The pay-per-views in between the big ones have been around this. So I know it still seems weird, but
still feels short to me.
The more I think about it, they've actually been doing they've been pretty consistent.
They have. So this was Liv Morgan versus Carmela. It was a competitive match,
which we thought this was going to be on the main card.
I did think it would. They did move it. Yeah, they moved it. That's what I just said.
Yeah. And usually, the pre-show match, you can either tell or, they'll tell you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So,
Big E versus Corbin.
I was surprised to see it on here. But, so Liv Morgan ends up winning what I would consider a competitive match after she shoves Carmela into the announce table, sort of using her legs to sort of push her.
Remember I saw, was this before the match, or I don't know if this was before the match or in a package, but, Carmela's
I'm hotter than you.
Yeah, I'm hot, and I'm yeah, that's what matters.
That's basically what this feud was, is I'm hotter than you, you're not so hot.
She definitely is when Liv Morgan's got freaking bangs, bleh.
So Liv's on her back on the floor and sort of shoves, using her legs, Carmela into the announce table. Then they get back into the ring, and Liv hits her slingshot flatliner. I don't know if it has a signature name at this point, but she uses that.
I know she's done it before, and I remember saying it sucks.
She picks up the win in this match. To be honest, the match was better than I expected. It still did have a couple awkward spots. Michael Cole specifically didn't get all of it on a Carmelo kick. And the shove into the announce table right before the finish seemed like it took a little bit longer to set up than would be ideal. Regardless, I think they worked pretty hard here, had a very solid match. I thought Carmella's selling was good. for Liv in this match, and I don't see any reason why they can't build Liv Morgan into something.
Yeah, I think she just needs some more work. But like I think she has some makings of a star, but
Yep.
I don't see her as that star that people think she is already. Like, I just don't think she's there yet.
I don't think she is either, and I don't think she's amazing in the ring, but I also don't think
Like
you need to be on main roster, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's literally my only issue with her is that, like,
she's okay.
She's just overhyped for me. Like, she's not bad.
Yeah.
I feel like, because she's surrounded by, like, Carmela and Liv Morgan and, Carmela and, Zelina Vega.
Yep.
And freaking Tamina. So, like, of course she's gonna look better, but, like, people are acting like she's, like, the next big thing. And, like, I think she will be a champion, but she's not, like, she's not that good.
But she will be a champion because almost every woman eventually becomes a champion, right?
Right.
It feels like not because she's amazing. I think she's good, and the crowd seems to sort of be behind her, so I don't know if they could
but
easily
she's
turn
not
her
like
into
a
something.
Becky Lynch or something, which I feel like that's what people are kind of, like, that just from what I've seen.
But already in this match, I find it frustrating because I never really know if the reaction I hear from the crowd is genuine or if it's being pumped in.
I find there's some times when you can kind of tell.
Right. But it's hard to tell
real.
if they're just sweetening it, which when I say sweetening, I mean the crowd is cheering, but they pile cheers on top of it.
They want to enhance it.
It's easier to tell when they're just putting in their own sound effects and the crowd's doing nothing. That I can really tell. But so I find that a little bit off-putting
when, like, everyone's
already.
just sitting there and there's automatic, like, there's suddenly cheers and you're just like, what?
You see nobody moving and there's lots of cheering from the crowd.
Right, just everyone's on their feet. No, they're not.
So the show starts officially now, and we do get a new match that was not announced or anything added to the card, and that is the New Day. All three of them taking on AJ Styles, Omos, I don't know how to say.
They say Omos.
They do say Omos, and Bobby Lashley in a 6-man tag team match. So some things happen in this. I thought Lashley had a nice spot where he caught Kofi coming off the apron to the floor. But then Xavier Woods ends up kicking Lashley. It basically ends up being like a crossbody for Kofi on the floor. There was a huge flatliner by Lashley to Kofi where he just really picks him up in the air and drops him. We got a nice flurry after kind of a hot tag, I guess, by Xavier Woods, specifically against Lashley. I thought Big E also got a nice hot tag, demolished Styles with a whole bunch of suplexes and his running splash that always looks good and got the crowd involved. We had a huge stomp off the top by Kofi as Big E was holding AJ Styles for a near fall. And then the finish comes when AJ blind tags Lashley, sets up for his phenomenal forearm, but Lashley quickly blind tags AJ. So Lashley comes in to spear Big E, but he ends up accidentally hitting AJ Styles with the spear instead. Big E then hits his big ending to Lashley and pins him in about 18 minutes, which was almost the longest match on the show. I think the main event was 19 minutes. So this match that they never announced and that nobody had any idea was coming was the second longest match on the card. What did you think of the match?
I thought it was good by main roster standards, which I'm probably gonna say a lot because I
I think
this wasn't bad, but I didn't really like. Cause I just don't like main roster wrestling. It's not wrestling.
I know.
It's just like that's all it really is. Like, not because it's bad. I thought everyone looked good. Omos rightfully didn't do a ton because he kind of sucks. It didn't feel like a pay-per-view match, though, just because it's seemingly random nature. It just feels like something that would lead up to pay-per-view, like tag match between the other people and Lashley versus Big E.
Before some people have a singles match and a tag match, right? It did feel like that.
I like Big E scoring the win because that makes sense, but I don't think Lashley should take a pin, as now Big E's kind of beat him twice, technically speaking, which kind of kills off a rematch.
Yep. I was a little afraid that Big E was going to end up taking a pinfall in this just because they tend to sometimes not treat the champions well, but I thought the match was good.
Just because they feel like it.
Could have been shorter for sure. I thought it started out feeling like a pretty much a standard kind of Raw match, but by the end I thought it was really good. Omos's time, like you said, was limited. He didn't do very much, and that's fine. And I thought everybody else looked really good. I especially liked the dynamic of Big E and AJ Styles. I would love to see a program with those two guys.
That would be a really good feud for Big E to build him as a champion.
Right, he could be legitimized greatly and have some pretty cool matches
along the way. Still has a lot left to give. So
I thought this was a fast-paced opener. I also really liked that Big E was booked to look strong, hitting his finisher on Lashley and pinning him clean to end the match. So I thought it was a good start to the show. I liked this match.
Yeah.
We then move into the Smackdown Tag Team Championship match, which is the Street Profits versus the Usos. So for this one, Montez Ford has his ribs heavily taped to start this out. I thought the crowd was not into this at first, but they ended up sort of getting into it. We have the Usos obviously spending a lot of time targeting Ford's ribs, including a nice back suplex on the floor. There's a nice combination by Dawkins somewhere in the middle of this. He had a superplex and his twisting neckbreaker combination I thought looked good.
That was pretty good.
Then we got what was basically a street sweeper by the Street Profits at one point. We had Ford doing a giant dive over the corner, like clear over the turnbuckles onto the Usos on the floor that looked good. And of course, Montez Ford hit his giant frog splash at one point for a near fall. But the end result of this is the Usos retain the championships after they hit a double splash to Montez Ford in just under 14 minutes for this one. And we are doing our prediction, so we both did predict the open. Or no, we didn't predict it because it didn't exist. But we both did predict this match correctly, right?
Right.
So what did you think of this match?
I thought it was a fine main roster tag that naturally picked up towards the end. A lot of targeting towards Ford's ribs, which made sense because he got his butt kicked.
Yep.
On Smackdown.
Apparently, I didn't know, but
well, main roster hot tags are never the most interesting. Dawkins certainly ranks among the most tame. Like, I just didn't find it that interesting.
It wasn't great.
That hot, so to speak. This was fine, not great, not bad, just fine. Right result though.
I liked it a little more than you. I didn't find the first part with the relentless Uso attack on Ford's ribs to be very interesting, but it definitely made sense for the heels to use that strategy. I thought Dawkins' hot tag as well was underwhelming because that combo I liked didn't actually come during his hot tag. That was a bit later, right?
Right.
I thought things did pick up right after his hot tag with some nice tandem moves by both teams and some combo moves. There were a couple believable near falls thrown in, and by the end, I thought it was a strong tag team match that the crowd was really into it. The result was predictable. We both picked it correctly, but I thought this was a very good match. I liked it slightly better than the opener even. So then we cut to Lashley backstage. He is furious about taking the pin in the opening match to Big E. I almost called him Big E Langston, but I guess that's not the case anymore. So he complains about Big E being a coward and challenges Big E to a match for the championship on Raw. I guess that would be tonight or the next night when they were speaking. I don't know. It was a fine, angry promo by Lashley. I didn't put much thought into it. Yeah, I thought it was good.
I mean, it's kind of stupid after he just lost, but whatever.
So we then have the Raw Women's Championship match is next, and that is Charlotte taking on Alexa Bliss. So a few things in this. I didn't have a ton of notables. We get a somersault off the apron by Alexa Bliss onto Charlotte on the floor really early. Then Charlotte is basically in control of this match for a very long time. Bliss at one point sent face first into the barricade. We get the moonsault by Charlotte off the top, but she lands on her feet as Alexa sort of rolls out of the way, then hits the standing moonsault by Charlotte, which is what? An Andrade move, right?
Yeah.
So she's kind of taken things from her fiance, I guess. We get a natural selection at one point and a one-armed powerbomb by Charlotte.
Teasing her joining AEW.
Looked like Raquel Gonzalez a bit. Alexa gets her feet up on a moonsault and hits a code red for a near fall. And then basically at the end comes when Charlotte throws the doll, what's the doll's name again?
Lily.
She throws Lily at Alexa Bliss for a distraction, then hits a boot and a second natural selection, and she picks up the win in about 11 and a half minutes. After the match, Charlotte,
too long, am I right?
Charlotte takes Lily, rips the doll apart, and Bliss attacks her from behind, so they brawl out on the floor, which leads to Charlotte getting control, throwing Bliss over the announce table, and then she sort of walks off as her music plays.
Bliss cries and yells and cries and yells, then yells and also cries.
This just won't end as Bliss emerges from the table, screams before getting in the ring to cry over the pieces of the shredded doll. She then sits at the top of the ramp, and I put foams at the mouth, ? Talk about that for a second.
From a capsule, because when she yells, you can see the capsule.
You can clearly see she has a tablet of some kind in her mouth, and I don't think it quite foamed up the way they wanted it to. Like, I think she was supposed to be sitting at the top of the stage and just like, or the ramp, with just like foam coming out of her mouth.
Why?
Just, I don't know. There was a little bit, but it clearly didn't go over as they planned. I don't know what the plan was, because I don't know.
The match was really boring and slow, even by main roster standards. The pace throw was too slow and methodical, and even when it picked up, it didn't really. The aftermath was stupid, made my brain hurt immensely. And you could see Alexa's capsule in her mouth. It was just stupid. It's a doll, and it was stupid. And this just sucked, as I kind of expected.
I warned you about the negativity,
I really enjoyed Charlotte's ring attacks. It did seem to be Venom-inspired, so
nice.
That's cool.
Charlotte's methodical beatdown of Bliss early I didn't find super interesting. And Bliss got in a few flurries, I guess, but Charlotte was in control of this for almost the entire time. It felt strange that Alexa Bliss was basically the babyface here, right?
Right. That doesn't make sense either.
And I think the aftermath is designed to turn her full babyface, but she was already getting that treatment, so I don't... Anyways, the match was nothing special.
Which I don't know how babyface that was, but I mean...
Flair looked strong and did lots of stuff, but it just wasn't really exciting. The aftermath was way too long and felt unnecessary because nothing really came of it, and I'm pretty sure there was a malfunctioning tablet.
Yeah, and personally,
in
I
Alexa's
just don't buy Bliss's babyface. Like, what about her is...
I think the idea is she's being bullied, right? And this bigger, stronger woman who just beat her is taking her doll
but she's
and
like
ripping
a
it up.
supernatural witch, like...
But I don't think she is anymore. That's what I'm saying.
That's just like...
And I'm not trying to say it makes sense, but it feels
No,
like
that's fair.
She's supposed to be getting sympathy because the big bully ripped up her toy in front of her.
So she's magically like...
No, she's a baby
I
face.
just don't understand how she's sympathetic. It just doesn't make sense. Which, I mean, that's asking too much of them, I guess.
We then go backstage. Paul Heyman's on the phone with someone, and the backstage interviewer, who I don't know who it is, wants to know who he's talking to.
Kayla Braxton.
Heyman basically insults her quickly and then talks about Roman Reigns.
I did think that was kind of funny.
I can't remember what he said, do you?
He was like, are you worried I'm cheating on you or whatever? Like, he's talking to like another journalist or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, no, and then he corrected himself and he said, a journalist.
Yeah, because she's not a journalist.
It was pretty funny.
So he starts talking about Roman Reigns. The Usos show up and celebrate their win, and Heyman leaves. I think they're supposed to be teasing, like, could he be talking to Brock Lesnar, right? I think they even said that, didn't they?
Yeah, I hope he's not. Or even if he is, I just hope he doesn't turn on Roman, because I feel like it's so much better, and Brock is a waste of time.
Wow. So then we move on to the triple threat match for the United States Championship, which is Jeff Hardy. If someone can tell me what he's done to earn a title shot, that'd be great.
He beat Sheamus.
Sheamus and Damian Priest. So we get Damian Priest. He flips over the top onto others on the floor early on. There's a spot where Sheamus lawn darted Priest into the ring post. I thought looked good. Priest just completely fell off the apron at one point, right?
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
And then Hardy also botched a counter to Priest and had to sort of go back to the same thing a little bit later. So there was some definite sloppiness happening here early on in this.
Most definitely.
Sheamus goes up top and sort of mocks Jeff Hardy, does like Jeff Hardy-like mannerisms, then hits a knee drop to Damian Priest for 2. We get a top rope sit-out choke slam to Sheamus by Damian Priest, and Hardy has to break up the pinfall with his signature swanton. We get a nice high knee by Sheamus to Priest, who's coming off the ropes with a springboard that looked pretty good. And then Sheamus hits his brogue kick to Hardy, who ends up out on the floor. And Priest, I thought this was disappointing. He just rolls up Sheamus to retain his title.
Yeah, that was kind of lame, especially like
13 minutes just over.
I don't know. I don't like roll-ups in a triple threat, but
it's just not strong, right? Like, if you want to make this guy look strong, which you should be, because he's kind of a new guy to the roster, like, why does he need to win by a roll-up? Just have him hit his reckoning. What's the difference? Anyways, what'd you think?
This was fine. The sloppiness and botches didn't help the match, although they were kind of amusing. It had some good moments, mainly towards the end, but overall not the best match. I don't love a roll-up finish, especially in a 3-way.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it has its place, like, or like, I like better when someone steals the pin.
Yeah.
Like, that works a little better for me.
Yeah, I didn't love the finish of this either.
And, yeah, it just doesn't help Priest. Like, these are two established guys, and if a good-looking win would help him a bit, and I don't know. He didn't look bad, but just the finish does not help him in any way.
And we both picked this match, and we both picked Charlotte as well, correct?
Yeah. I can't imagine. No, I definitely did not.
Because my theory was you just play the odds and pick Charlotte. Because if you always pick Charlotte, you're probably going to be right. But anyways.
Well, and I would never pick Alexa.
I struggled to get into this match early on. The sloppiness in a couple spots definitely didn't help. I thought the final few minutes were much better. The pace was a lot faster, and there were some pretty good near falls. I thought it ended up being pretty good by the end, but I wasn't engaged at all early on. And it was, again, another predictable finish. You're going to see a lot of us being right in our predictions on a show that we don't really watch a lot of, so that's kind of funny. Again, I would have preferred Priest win more convincingly than just a surprise roll-up, but at least he won here, right?
Yeah, I guess that's all we can ask for.
So Big E is backstage responding to Bobby Lashley's challenge from a little bit earlier.
Robert Lashley.
He says he doesn't hide behind anybody, and Lashley should be ashamed of himself for hiding behind a knee injury. I guess he's kind of trying to claim he was injured. He then accepts Lashley's challenge for Monday and tells him to be ready. I don't know, I thought it was fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
Yep. We move on to the Smackdown Women's Championship match, which is a rematch. We've got Bianca Belair facing Becky Lynch. So in this one, right away, Lynch has to escape the KOD from Belair as She tries to do that fake handshake thing again and then attack, but of course Bianca Belair's onto it this time.
Yeah, she did like a fake handshake and went for the manhandle slam, kind of to mimic.
Right.
They always like to do that when something surprising happens. They always like to be like, ooh, what if it happens again?
But Belair's onto it this time and catches her. We get a big running splash by Bianca that looked impressive. There's dueling chants from the crowd for this one. We get a backflip off the ropes, a drop kick, and a kick hip up by Belair, just showcasing her crazy athleticism. Becky's then in control with a leg drop and an elbow drop. So throughout this match, 2, 3, 4 times, I don't know what it was, Lynch was using kind of Belair's hair against her, right?
Yeah.
We get a flurry by Belair with 2 suplexes, with the second one being a delayed vertical. Belair then finally counters another one of Lynch's hair pulls and pulls her in for a spine buster for a near fall. Belair rolls through a Lynch crossbody, picks her up and hits a fallaway slam that always looks impressive. Then we get a disarmer by Lynch, but a rope break by Belair. Becky counters a glam slam out on the floor, sends Belair into the steps instead. We get a top rope leg drop by Lynch for 2. The finish comes when Belair counters the disarmer, sets up for the KOD, and then a returning Sasha Banks runs in, attacks Becky Lynch. So Becky Lynch, attacks Belair. So Lynch is disqualified, but ends up retaining the title after 17.5 minutes. Sasha then beats down Lynch after the match, stands tall over both of these two before just walking away. And before I get into your opinions, let's talk about my prediction. My prediction was what? That Bianca Belair wins the match, but Becky Lynch retains the title. So I'm pretty proud of that one because I basically nailed that one. But anyways, what'd you think of the match? Because you did not pick this, right?
No.
So this is where the difference is. Spoiler, I picked literally everything right on this show, including specifically what would happen in this match. So I'm pretty proud of myself. But go ahead, what'd you think of this match?
Hold on, my dock resets at the scrolling. There we go. This was fine, but I expected better from the two, and the finish doesn't help my opinion of the match either. It's cool to see Sasha Banks back at least, even though she hasn't been really gone that long. 3-way between these two would be cool, which I think could be happening on Friday. Sasha was like, I'll see you on Friday, but I guess that could just be a segment.
Yeah, could be.
But I wouldn't put it past them to just book this match all of a sudden, because that is the draft this Friday.
Yeah, and I think they're kind of, even though they say they're not, they're looking at Dynamite's ratings and what they're doing, right? And I think they need to sort of pick it up a bit.
Right. This wasn't bad, but under-delivered and it wasn't super interesting.
Yep, this was really slow in some stretches, I thought. So I don't know if Becky's still getting into ring shape or what. She did seem to be gasping for breath at times in this, but I mean, that could have just been her selling. So some cool things happened in this match for sure, but it felt like the pacing was just off, right? Like they had to take frequent breaks or just slow down. The crowd kind of seemed like they wanted to get into it, but I don't think the action was ever really sustained for long enough to get them fully into it. I really like Belair's power spots a lot, but this match, as you said, it under-delivered for me, and commentary constantly telling me how great this is was really annoying to me.
I always say, like, that feels like definitely Vince telling them. He's like, this is so great, make sure you tell them.
Like, I'm watching it, and it's not.
They're telling me what is good, okay, and what I like, all right?
So the finish I also wasn't a big fan of, even though I predicted something along these lines happening. The match just kind of felt too long for me and not that exciting. I didn't think it was great. I think these two are capable of a lot better, and it might just be like, once Becky's back in ring shape and has been here a while, she's ready to go.
If you really wanted to brag, you should have predicted the Sasha Banks return, but you didn't because you're bad.
Yeah, I just picked everything right on the show. No big deal. We then head to the main event, which is an Extreme Rules match. Interesting.
Wait, why is that on the show? That doesn't
weird.
Make sense.
So this one is for the WWE Universal Championship, and that's going to be Finn Balor, the Demon. They refuse to call him Finn Balor at all in the whole match, which also annoys me. I'm going to call him Finn Balor. Too bad.
Yeah, because
facing Roman Reigns.
I mean, see, I'm in a difficult spot because, I'm really annoyed because they've been calling him just the Demon for this entire time, whereas they insisted on calling the Fiend Bray Wyatt. When I feel like because they're both alter egos, right? But if you had to choose which one was more unlike the other, you would choose, the Fiend is less Bray Wyatt than the Demon is Finn Balor.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I would say that.
The Demon is, pretty similar to Balor. It's just, I guess a more...
And they just use Demon the entire match.
It's more, inner Demon. Yes, it's really weird.
So Balor's entrance, I don't know what it is, but it was nowhere near as cool as it used to be.
No.
I'm pretty sure part of it was the fact that the commentary team talked over the entire thing. They used to just let it happen and you would sit and watch it and it was amazing. But now it's them getting their stupid talking points in throughout the whole thing, and that really took away from it for me. So Reigns is in control early with his usual methodical style. He grabs a kendo stick at one point, but Balor has a bundle of them all taped together and beats on Roman quickly. Balor then traps Roman in the ring apron, stomps and kicks him. Balor goes to get a table, but Reigns runs over him with the clothesline on the outside. Reigns then gets a steel chair, hits Balor repeatedly on the back with it. Balor drives Reigns into the steel steps a bit later, and then the barricade, before going back to get a table. He slides the table into the ring, but gets caught by the drive-by kick from Reigns as he's sort of putting the table in. Reigns throws Balor over the barricade. I thought this was funny. He gets a mask from Paul Heyman before heading into the crowd. So I don't know if he actually, like the man Roman Reigns, because of his health issues, right? Probably wanted to put a mask on before heading into the crowd.
I think it's kind of funny either way, though. Just
yeah, I thought it was a cool little detail, actually.
Yeah.
So Balor gets thrown onto the kickoff show desk a little bit later. He fights back, kicks Roman off the table, hits a crossbody to Roman, who crashes through another table that was sort of beside. Looked like a very comfortable landing, frankly, for an Extreme Rules match. Balor sets up another table in the ring, but Reigns sends Balor through it with a Uranagi and a wedgie. Right?
Oh, yeah.
There's a major wedgie for Finn Balor.
He
one butt
it.
cheek completely exposed.
Yeah, he half-assed it for sure.
He did.
And then, like, basically the rest of the entire match, you can see one of Balor's cheeks.
Right. Balor counters a spear with a sling blade, but he gets hit with the spear anyways as he tries to follow up. Coup de grace by Balor, but the Usos drag him out and run him into the barricade before hitting a double super kick. The Usos get a table out, but Balor fights them off, powerbombs one of them through the announce table before being speared through the barricade by Roman on the outside. And then I started laughing because the red lights come on and a heartbeat sound plays as Balor like twitches on the floor.
Flops like a fish.
It looks stupid. So silly. But it magically fires Balor up. He kicks Roman through a table.
And then his theme is playing for a bit
playing.
too. Yeah, and I'm like, what is wrong with the production team?
I don't get it either.
Well, no, he's a demon, okay? So, like,
I guess. Supernatural baby, my favorite.
Right, there's all the explanation you need right there.
Balor climbs up top for another coup de grace, but the top rope just magically snaps. He falls to the mat, gets hit with the Roman Reigns spear, and takes the pin. The match is over. Roman Reigns retains. I think this was 19 minutes-ish. What did you think of this?
So I thought it was good. It sounds super different from any other Extreme Rules match that has ever existed, which means it's pretty hard to differentiate now, right? So.
And it's always kind of like the safe WWE Extreme Rules style, right? Like, there's nothing super crazy in any of these anymore.
But it was entertaining enough, and I got what I expected. And also to know on the entrance, which I forgot to mention earlier, but, like, he did not have the teeth face paint, which I did not. I like that more.
You do.
And then, also, he used the same paint he used for the previous 2 Smackdown appearances.
Right.
Which I don't think he's ever, like, reused the paint ever. So I think that's kind of odd. Like,
yep.
He's always changed
That's the details you're here for, buddy, because I didn't notice that much.
Balor looked good in defeat here, and that's all I could ask for, really.
Yep.
And while the finish wasn't the best, it's an easy way to keep the demon looking strong, because he had to lose here. It was just a matter of making him not look stupid.
And it was basically, like, technical issues. The ring broke, or he was going to win, right?
I thought he looked good, though, other than the coming back to life thing.
That was silly.
That was just dumb, but that was a small bit of this, so I'm willing to let it go.
Yep.
Sucks this was the only Extreme Rules match on the show title Extreme Rules, but I thought it was fine. And I feel like the demon is fine losing as long as he still looks like the demon he's supposed to be.
Right. I would say the match held my interest, but I don't think it was anything really special.
That's fair.
And Reigns works slowly at best of times, right? Which I usually don't mind, but when you add in, like, he's got to walk around to get a chair, walk around to get a table, it really slows things down even more. So this was very much, like I said, a main roster, no DQ match from WWE. Relatively safe, standard table and chair spots. I thought things got pretty fun for the final few minutes before just the ending I just thought was really silly. That made Balor look really dumb, twitching on the floor and then magically firing up.
It wasn't like he was like lying on the floor and he'd like flop up like a.
It was supposed to be like the heartbeat was like animating him, basically.
But it was really weird. That's taking that too far for me.
I agree.
Because the heartbeat is a really cool part of the entrance for me. Like, it's just like, I don't know, just something about it's cool, but like that kind of is going too far with that.
So I thought this was a decent main event, but nothing more than that, unfortunately.
To me, that's like a Aleister Black's entrance where he's got the thing, and then they added the creaking sound effect.
Right.
Like no one needs that.
They keep adding things. Overall thoughts and a letter grade for this show.
So as a show titled Extreme Rules, this show failed 100%. There was only one extreme match on the show, but as a normal pay-per-view is fine. I'm like judging it off of the title. It was awful, right? Because like there's only one extreme match in sight, right?
That is true.
Based off the title, like it would be a total failure. But so the opener was Lorena, but it wasn't that bad. So it was a fine start to the show, and I thought the tag title match was solid as well, but nothing great. The Flair Bliss match sucked. Easily the worst thing on the show, and the aftermath was even worse. It's just, I hate that crap. The U.S. title match was generally good, aside from the botches and the finish. And the Lynch Belair match wasn't necessarily bad, but should have been better, and also had a crap finish. And the main event was fine for an Extreme Rules match, but nothing new. Didn't like remake the wheel. What's that saying?
Reinvent the wheel.
Reinvent the wheel. Yeah, that kind of thing. Overall, just a meh main roster pay-per-view, like just by their standards even. There was nothing super notable, and nothing you need to go to watch if you miss the show. Like, if you miss the show, like, whatever.
Just listen to us talk about it's good enough.
Right. Not the worst show ever, but nothing great either. It had some solid matches by main roster standards, of course. So I'll give it a B-.
Man, just as you're recapping there, it really drives home, like, the finishes on this show, right? Were not good at all. So there was not a lot of extreme about this show, as you're saying. And I found it odd that a match that wasn't even promoted or announced was given almost 20 minutes right off the start. That being said,
it wasn't bad, but it's just like
weird.
Like, how does, like, I don't know, just like it's just confusing. Like, that's all I can say.
It just sort of smacks of poor planning, right? That like Vince is tearing up scripts on the day of the show and stuff. It just feels like more of that.
Doing that. Oh my god.
So that being said, the show started off, I thought, fine. The two opening matches were pretty entertaining. I thought they were both fun. Nothing amazing, but like interesting matches. Then it's sort of the Flair Bliss match I thought was just okay. The aftermath was worse than that. The second half of the U.S. title match was pretty good. For me, the final two matches were only fine, and for major title matches on a pay-per-view, I think they should be better than that, right? Not that this was one of the big four or something, but I would expect more. And like you're saying, I don't think this was a bad show, but I don't think it was particularly strong either. So I debated between a C+ and a B-. I decided to be nice and go with the B- like you did.
I also decided that.
Nothing was terrible, but nothing was particularly memorable either. And absolutely everything was predictable. I picked every match on this show. It did not feel like a very important show to me, but I didn't hate watching it despite that.
Good job predicting everything, but like, no offense, it's not that
roster. Hard. It's funny because
especially when you've been watching for like however long, right? Like
I read a review. I don't understand people's reviews. I was reading a guy's review. He gave the show an overall 9 out of 10, right? So that's like an A+ almost for me. And
I would say A+.
But then you look at the matches and it's like C+, B-, B-, B. Like nothing was in the A range.
That does not average out to even an A-.
So when not one match is in the A range, how do you give it a 9? I don't understand what people are doing.
I would love to know the criteria there.
That's what we thought about this show, and I don't think we have much else to say about it, right?
No.
No. So I will be back right after this talking about ROH episode 523, and then we will definitely be back on Saturday for, what is it, episode 63 of the flagship show?
Yes.
Where we're going to talk about NXT 2.0 at least one more time.
Yeah, this may be the last NXT 2.0,
might be giving it up.
So soak it in.
AEW Dynamite for sure, some Impact Wrestling, some trivia, some news and rumors, and an update from the world of wrestling action figures. So if you want to check that out, it's usually out late afternoon to dinner time on Saturdays. We'd love for you to listen to that. And again, any feedback you could give us on anything is always welcome. We promise we'll get back to you. But I think that's going to wrap it up for talking about Extreme Rules, unless you have anything to add.
No.
All right, so we look forward to seeing you all back here on Saturday. And until then, take care.